Okay, we're going to get into the third to last story in the Predator Original Years Omnibus, Volume 1, which is called Predator Strange Roux. And normally I would not review a story this short and give it its own video because there's really not a lot to talk about. But I want to talk about a dark horse trend that thankfully doesn't really exist anymore. And as much as I like to say, oh, Dark Horse was the best, they certainly really did bad stuff. So let's talk about Strange Roux. Strange Roux is kind of like a one shot, like a goofy story of three country bumpkins in the bayou. It's another bayou predator story, which usually I don't mind because I mean the bayou's pretty nasty and humid, heat and conflict, that sort of thing, I guess. Although the conflict in these later predator stories very minimal. So anyway, so there's a Yautja hunting in the bayou. The three guys are talking about this urban legend um, that's in the bayou, and they encounter the Yautja and fight it in like a goofy comical way. It's not. I mean, it's goofy, I guess, but I didn't find it funny, and that's the thing with Dark Horse humor. Dark Horse humor is very hit or miss, and a lot of times with these IP comics, it's a miss. We've talked about some of these stories before. There was an Aliens one in the fifth anniversary special where these different aliens are hunting xenomorphs so they can eat the facehuggers. And there's no dialogue. The art's kind of interesting, but it's supposed to be a goofy thing, and it's not funny. It's not funny at all. And Dark Horse did this a lot in the 90s, in the early 2000s. I think the grand finale of this stupid trend was Star Wars Tales. Star Wars Tales went from I think about 99 to 2005 or 6. I believe. I can't remember. But I just remember that Tales went on way too long back in the day, and it would be hit or miss. We talk about this on Legends podcast. Matt Wilkins, everyone, their mother that's a Star Wars fan has talked about Star Wars Tales, and how you'd have like a decent story mixed in with Skippy the Jedi droid, or Force fiction, or when Plo Koon has to go on the cooking show to save this chef from indentured servitude to a hut. Like, there were goofy stories like that, and they all have the same humor. Another example of this would be Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn on the Orient Express, which I reviewed earlier this year, which is a 2-issue mini that was so horrible that it didn't get collected until almost a decade later. That's how bad it was. And I think the only reason they collected it is they were collecting other stuff, and they said, well, might as well. And so it's only been collected a handful of times. And it's always this, like, Dark Horse had this humor that just wasn't funny, and no one liked it. And Strange Roux is a prime example of that humor. It's really obnoxious to have a bunch of beer-bellied, as my old friend Tim would have said, yokels fighting a Yautja. It takes away from the mystique of the Yautja, and it's just terrible. It's stupid. And that's saying something, because a lot of these Predator stories, especially the short ones, are very forgettable. But this one is particularly just plain bad. It's probably the worst story in this omnibus. If I had to pick one that's just the epitome of terrible, this probably takes the cake. It beats out Bad Blood, which was a story that had potential but just didn't go anywhere except for having the main character look like the protagonist of Postal 2. Like, that's the only thing going, and Postal 2 wasn't even a thing back then. So I don't know. I mean, I don't get why Dark Horse, someone at Dark Horse editorial thought these types of stupid stories are funny. Like, and we'll get to a lot of these really soon, because in like the Rise of the Sith, Star Wars: The Rise of the Sith omnibus in particular, there's some really horrible Star Wars Tales stories, really horrible. And I get that when I think it was Jeremy Barlow kind of took over editing Star Wars Tales, the quality came up. But I mean, like it had been by that point, the Tales moniker had been soiled so badly that they've never really done a Tales anything since. Because if you remember back in the day, we had Tales novels from Bantam, which would be short story collections, and then we get to the Tales comics, and it's like there's nothing after that except for Tales from the Clone Wars, but that was an exclusive, like, to either Celebration or Comic Con collection of comics. It's just stupid. Dark Horse, I swear, I don't know what they were thinking back then. Just making just stupid crap, putting an IP name on it and saying, oh, it's a joke comic. It's not a joke. I mean, it's a joke on played on the consumer who bought this crap, but overall, like, they're not funny, and so it's really freaking annoying when I come across one of these stories. And you can usually tell from the beginning that they're going to just suck ass and to just be stupid. If the stupid characters aren't killed like immediately, Cleo, get down. Sorry, Cleo doesn't like when I get all razzled up and upset. She tries to get in my face and tell me it's okay. Well, it's not okay. It's not okay. But like, if the stupid characters aren't killed off like immediately, then like we know we're in for some trash. That's just usually how it goes with, especially with any alien or predator stories that are like this. It's just really annoying. So what would I rank this? 0 out of 5. If you have this omnibus, I highly recommend skipping to Kindred is the next storyline. Just skip to Kindred. I can almost guarantee that Strange Roux never is mentioned again. So, anyway, have a nice day.